Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today. I'm really glad everybody could join us. So today we're going to be talking about Dun & Bradstreet. We're going to be talking about how you could get your DUNS number with D&B for free, and also the steps you need to take in multiple different ways you can actually establish your initial Paydex score with Dun & Bradstreet. So we have a ton of stuff to go over today, so I'm not going to waste any time. If you have questions, I'll try to get your questions at the end, but we're going to run probably about an hour with as much content as I have to go over, so I don't want to delay. So today we're going to be talking about how to get set up with Dun & Bradstreet. If you have any questions along the way, feel free to reach out to us as well. Our phone number is 877-600-2487. That's 877-600-2487. Our email address is info@creditsuite.com. That's info@creditsuite.com. And if you want a free guide that gives you more details and really maps out the steps to build your business credit, then feel free to go to creditsuite.com/EIN. And at creditsuite.com/EIN, you'll be able to grab an awesome 4-step guide that'll map out this process. Now, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Ty Crandall. I'm actually the CEO here at Credit Suite, and I've been in financial services for about 17 years. If you were to Google my name or look into it, you'll see that I talk a lot about business credit. I won't bore you with details, but I've written books and I speak a lot on the topic, and I'm featured in a lot of different places talking about how you can be successful in this space, and I look forward to being able to share some of this with you today. So first, let's talk a little bit more about who Dun & Bradstreet is. Well, there are 3 main business credit reporting agencies that you need to know about when you're building your corporate credit. And those are Dun & Bradstreet, Experian, and Equifax. Okay, Experian and Equifax both have commercial divisions as well as offer consumer credit, and Dun & Bradstreet is by far the biggest reporting agency in the space. Now, these are reporting agencies that report credit to your EIN number, not to your social security number. So a lot of people aren't aware of that. You have a separate credit report and scores in your business that are linked to your EIN, the same as you have credit reports and scores that are linked to your social in the consumer world. So D&Bs or Dun & Bradstreet's often called D&B, and you'll hear me refer to them as D&B throughout the event today, and they're the biggest reporting agency. They have about 10 times more records than Experian does, and Equifax is a distant third behind them. So they actually provide information on businesses and corporations for use in credit decisions worldwide. They're very big all over the world. They deal with about 230 million records on file last time I checked, and a lot of them are outside of North America and outside of the United States. But they do trade here in the United States on the New York Stock Exchange. D&B is their ticker code on that exchange, and they're headquartered in Short Hills, New Jersey is actually where they're out of. So Dun & Bradstreet tracks all the way back to 1841. Okay, they actually used to be called the Mercantile Agency. It's about 50 years before Equifax was born. So I always like when I talk to anything about D&B to mention this, because, you know, a lot of people don't realize that business credit was around well before consumer credit was. And this is a really good indication of that. You know, D&B existed 50 years before the first consumer reporting agency came around, which is Equifax in the United States. So there's still some people out there that have questions of the legitimacy of business credit. They don't know a lot about it, but it's actually been around and seasoned significantly longer than anything or any agency in the consumer space. And in 1933, the Mercantile Agency actually joined with R.G. Dun & Company, and that's where they actually became Dun & Bradstreet. And I tell you this because even though they've been around since 1841, if you look at their own corporate information page, etc., you're going to see this 1933 date as their founded date, because that's when Dun & Bradstreet actually became its own company. That's when Mercantile Agency and RG and Dun & Company actually joined to become Dun & Bradstreet. So if you look into their history, you'll actually see this 1933 date, but know that Mercantile, which was, you know, half of that, actually linked back to 1841. This is probably one of the most interesting facts that I think I've ever heard about a company like D&B, which is actually that 4 U.S. presidents worked for the Mercantile Agency actually as reporters. And that's Abraham Lincoln, Ulysses S. Grant, Grover Cleveland, William McKinley, all actually worked as credit reporters for Mercantile Agency. So pretty cool. I don't know of any company that exists, period, that's ever had multiple presidents work for them, let alone have 4. So it just kind of gives you an idea of how credible D&B is in their history. So there's a couple of steps you're going to take to set up your business first before you even start what we're really going to map out today, which is getting set up with D&B. The first step, obviously, is to set up your entity. Now, you could build credit with any entity, okay, but you're really going to want to consider a corporation or LLC to help reduce your liability in the business. You know, if you're a sole proprietorship or partnership, you and the business are one and the same. So even though I'm going to show you today how to build credit for your EIN that's not linked to your social, if you and the business are one and the same, you're always going to be liable for what happens in your business. So a corporation or LLC, you and the business are separate. That's really the first step of separating your liability. Then you can start doing what we're talking about today, which is building that corporate credit profile, creating and obtaining more credit that's separate from you personally. And that helps in a lot of different areas, including separating your personal liability and being able to, of course, get credit truly with no personal guarantee. And you do this right with your Secretary of State. Now, if you're already an entity, if you're already a sole proprietorship or partnership, you can absolutely change your entity type. You can get with an attorney or your Secretary of State to get that done. Now, again, with sole proprietorships and partnerships, you are the business. In those cases, you're always going to be liable. Even if you take the steps that I map out today, somebody can still sue you when they sue the business, and they can still come after possibly your assets because you and the business are one and the same. But with a corporation and LLC, you and the business are separate, so it's easier for you to separate that liability. Now, you can, again, as I mentioned, set up your own entity by visiting your Secretary of State website. You search for the name you want to ensure it's not already taken, and then follow the steps to set up a new for-profit or non-profit actual business. Okay, now fees vary state by state. So for example, I think in Florida now it's $70 to set up an entity, and I think in California it's like $600. So that's probably the widest range of fees that I've seen for entity setup. So they really vary, but it takes about 15 minutes or less. Once I wanted to see how fast I could set up a business, and I did it in less than 50 minutes. I went online, I set up the corporation, I got my EIN from the IRS, I took both to my bank, I set up my business bank account, and was done with the whole process in 50 minutes, with the entity set up, with the EIN number established, with a bank account for the business even set up, all in less than 50 minutes. So it doesn't take a long time to set up a business. It only takes about 15 minutes to actually set up your entity. And once you've done so, as I just kind of foreshadowed to, I guess you could say, is to get your EIN number. Now, a lot of people think that you build business credit under the DUNS number, and that's not actually the case at all. Your credit profile for your business is absolutely built under your business EIN, not your DUNS. The DUNS is the first step, as we're going to talk about, to getting set up with DNB, but your business credit profile itself is actually set up under your actual EIN number, not your DUNS. And to pay, don't pay for your EIN. It's totally free. You go to irs.gov, and irs.gov will give it to you at absolutely no cost. But there's a lot of companies out there that make it look like they're an IRS organization. They do some things that make it look like on their website and their URL that they're an actual government entity, and they charge you for EIN setup, but you never need to pay to set up your EIN. It's totally free. You just need to go to irs.gov. And here's an actual Google ad that shows you some fakes. Say this is www.ein-gov.us, right? Well, that looks somewhat official. But that kind of company will charge you for something you absolutely can get for free through the IRS. The same thing with setting up your actual entity type. Companies like LegalZoom can help you do that, but you don't need help. If you go to your Secretary of State, it is usually a very simple process to actually set up that business. And I think if you go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Credit Suite, you'll find and Google how to set up a business. You'll see that we even have a webinar we did, and I think it's on our podcast as well on iTunes, the Business Credit Financing Show, and you can get to that on the top of our website, creditsuite.com. There's a link to that. We go through on our YouTube channel, on our podcast, more in detail how to do this. I even show you screenshots of what it looks like to go through and actually set up your entity. But it's very simple. You don't need LegalZoom to set up an entity. You could do it with your Secretary of State. You don't need to pay a company like this ad you see here to set up your EIN. You can absolutely do that at irs.gov for free. So business credit reporting agencies like DNB get data from a lot of different places. Okay, utility companies, landlords, companies that help set up new businesses, insurance, benefit providers, and many others. And don't ever forget this. A lot of people either forget or never knew that the credit reporting agencies on the consumer and business side, their sole purpose of existence is to gather data and sell data. At their heart, that's what all these guys do. D&B, Equifax, Experian, TransUnion, LexisNexis. It doesn't matter what reporting agency you're talking about. What they do fundamentally is gather data, gather information, and they sell information through a lot of different platforms. So D&B, like Experian and Equifax on the commercial side, they get their data from a lot of different places. Utility companies, landlords, companies that help set up new businesses, insurance and benefit providers. So this is really the first question is, are you set up with D&B now? Because a lot of people think that since they have no business credit that they're not set up with the reporting agencies. But if the reporting agency got your information from a utility company or a landlord company, then you could very well already have the basics of a credit profile and not even know that you do. So if the reporting agencies know you exist, you can have a low score even if you have no credit, and that's very important to know. So Experian's notorious for this, and I pull a lot of Experian reports on my Facebook Live and Periscope streams, and we find a lot of businesses that say, I don't think I have any credit. We pull their credit score, and their credit score is 28 or 29, a very low score. We scroll down and see they have absolutely no credit. And that happens more times than not, where Experian, for example, goes and gets your information from a utility company, and then what they'll do is they'll then give you a low score because you have no business credit. That's not like, we're not used to that in the consumer world. In the consumer world, FICO has to have accounts reporting for 6 months to even give you a score. But in the business world, if they know you exist and you have no credit, they will actually give you a low score, which is why the first step in getting set up with D&B is to really even know if you have a credit profile and score set up right now. So here's an example of what I just showed you. Here's somebody that has a low score of 35. Okay, you can see here that the reason their score is low is lack of active trade lines. Factors lowering the score, lack of active trade lines. So they're being given a score, it's a low score because they have limited trade lines. And you can see here in the summary section, they have no trade lines. So they have a low score, they're even given the reason that there's a lack of trade lines, and you can see that there's no trade lines, and that's what actually gives them a low score. So here's a real result showing you that if you don't have business credit established, you could still be hurting yourself and your business because you could still be issued a low score even with no credit reporting just because the reporting agencies actually know you exist. So check with D&B to see if you have a record set up for you now. That's the very first step. Do you even have information? Do they know who you are? Do they know you exist now? It's the very first step with getting set up with them. And it's absolutely free, and it's actually really easy to do. So you can go directly to D&B's website to check what they call iUpdate for your business. Okay, you can also go to creditsuite.com/reports to see if you're set up with D&B, Equifax, and Experian, all for free. It costs you nothing to do. So I'll give you the reports way just because it's a shortcut. So if you go to creditsuite.com/reports, you're able to scroll down and see a logo for D&B, Equifax, and Experian. If you click on one of those, then it will take you to their shortcut of where you can search your business. Now, if you search your business, you type in the basic info they ask, which is usually your business name and address, they're going to then pull up the results of what you've put in. Now, one of two things is going to happen. One of three things. One, they're not going to pull up any results. They're going to say, look, there's no businesses that even match this criteria. Or two, they're going to pull up results and you're not on there. Other companies are on there, maybe that are similar names, but yours isn't. Or three, you pull up results and your company is in those results. If your company is in those results with any of these three, my advice is to then get your credit report with them. Never pay for a credit report if you don't have any credit reporting with them now. The check is free to see if you do. But if they know you exist and they pull up your company and you say, oh man, they have my information right here, then it's probably worth it for you to get credit monitoring with any of the three that pull up a result to see if you have a score now. Do you have any collections or things you don't even know about reporting? What is on your actual physical report? It's free to do. It's easy to do. And again, at creditsuite.com/reports, I just give you a shortcut link to each reporting agency to easily be able to do so. So here's that process with D&B, right? Here's exactly what it looks like with screenshots from their website. And I've cut their logo logo out of it because DMB likes to come into my webinars and yell at me if I use their logo and then have their attorneys tell me to take it down. So I've just learned to just not put their logo on any of my slides. So this is exactly what it looks like. This is a screenshot from DMB's website. You go in and it says search your business, your phone, and your DUNS. If you have your DUNS number, you could search it here. If you just have your business, your phone number, you could search it here. Once you search and you type in the information, then it pulls up these results. So you can see in this search, for example, I did a search for DMB for Walmart, and it pulls it up and says, here you go, here's Walmart right here. Here's the results that I pull up. Now again, it could have pulled up some other company. It could have pulled up nothing, depending on what you're actually searching for. So depending on what you search, if your company might not show any results, it might show some other companies that are similar but not yours. It might show yours, but if yours pops up like these do, well, then you want to take the next step of going ahead and getting your report because you know they have information about you already. So if you pull up a record for your business with the reporting agencies, before you take another step, consider pulling the actual credit reports through their credit monitoring. Okay, in doing so, you'll then see if you have any credit reporting on that report. Now, you'll also see if you have any scores because like I said, and like I just showed you an example, you could be given low scores even if you have no credit. And if you have negative items on your report, well, you could even dispute those through iUpdate or through credit monitoring with Equifax and Experian. DMB's really good at this. They let you use their iUpdate service for free to see if your business is established. You can even update your information that they have on you through iUpdate. That's why it's called iUpdate. So this is cool because you can tell them, hey, look, this is wrong. You have information about me that's wrong. You have an account that's not mine. My address is wrong. This is wrong. You can update that information for free through iUpdate. Now, with Experian and Equifax are different. You could do the same thing with them, but you have to do it through their credit monitoring platforms, which means Experian and Equifax, you have to pay for credit monitoring before you can update anything. DMB, it's completely free. That's one of the reasons I love DMB. They're awesome because they give you access to iUpdate, which lets you go through this process at no cost to go through and search data and even update data to see if you have to correct any inaccuracies, any negative accounts you think are inaccurate, or any other information that they may have reporting. Now, this is really concludes the first step, right? I mean, after you set up your entity and you got your EIN number, well, next, if you just did that, you obviously can skip this step. Like if you just went in today and just set up your entity in IRS, obviously you have no credit. The reporting agencies don't know you exist yet because you just set up the business. But if you have some kind of business that's established for weeks or months or years, you definitely want to do that check first. creditsuite.com/reports. Do you have any information reporting? No, move forward. Yes, pull a report with whichever reporting agency has info to see do they have, what information do they have, and go ahead and dispute with the reporting agencies if there's anything on there that should be on there, or use iUpdate through DMB to do the same thing. Okay, now you're starting with a clean slate. You at least know what's on your report, and you can move forward with actually getting your DUNS and building your Paydex score. So if your search with DMB doesn't show anything, or doesn't show you have a DUNS, well, then you'll want to get it set up. Now, in 1963, the introduction of what's called the Data Universal Numbering System, or DUNS, helped bring business information into the computer age. Today, DMB maintains a database of about 213 million companies globally. Now, the last time I checked, it was about 230 million records on file they have, and this is the number of companies they have that actually have, I think, DUNS numbers issued. So there's a lot of company records that they actually have on file, and I might be wrong about that. The 213 might be an outdated record of how many companies they have on file, but the bottom line is they've got upwards of 200 million plus companies on file, and a good percentage of those have this DUNS number. So the DUNS number is a 9-digit number issued by DMB, and it's assigned to every business location in the DMB database, having a unique, separate, and distinct operation for the purpose. So here's why this is important. This is their definition, which is why it's kind of worded weird. It wouldn't be something I would word this way. So here's the most important part, which I don't know why it's not bolded, red, and underlined. Business location. You know, in the business world, what's interesting is if you ever see us on Periscope and Facebook Live, and if you want to, you can go to creditsuite.com, top right of the page. You can subscribe on Facebook and Periscope, and we'll tell you when we go live. We go live every week. So when we go live, we often pull people's business credit reports right there live on the stream. Now, this might make some people gasp in the consumer world because obviously I couldn't pull your credit and just show it to the world. But in the business world, first you need to know it's public information. Anybody can pull your business credit reports. Anybody can access them, prospects, clients, suppliers, vendors, credit, anybody. It's free roam, which is why I can easily pull reports and review them in public because it's all public information. Okay, but here's what's interesting when we pull reports. We pull a lot of reports by only searching a business name. And if there's no other companies with a similar name, then we could do it just based on a business name. But if there are companies that have a similar business name, then knowing the address or at least the city or state gives us everything we need to know to pull a report. Now, this matters to you for two reasons. First of all, when you build initial business credit using vendors like Uline and Quill, you'll see they don't even ask for your EIN number. It's weird. All they're doing is asking for your business name and address because they can report credit to the reporting agencies just based on that information. Okay, even as a matter of fact, on our live stream, I even showed Experience actual requirements to report. The EIN number's not even required for you to send data to Experian to put on commercial reports. So all they need is the business name and address. It's pretty much it. So the bottom line is your DUNS is assigned to businesses based on the location, the address. So a lot of people get in trouble here. Not a lot, but some people get in trouble here because they try to use their buddy's business address. They try to use a business address that's already being used by another business. Well, that's really dangerous territory because DMB is assigning a DUNS based on the business location. So if you're using somebody else's location in that same address, it's easy to get information mismatched with DMB, which is why you need to know that. So every business must first have a DUNS before they'll even give you a Paydex score. Don't get me wrong. You could establish credit with Experian and get an Atella score. You could establish credit with Equifax and get their credit risk score, but you can't get a Paydex score with DMB without a DUNS. You have to have the DUNS first. And again, credit issuers will give you credit without a DUNS number. Some of them don't even ask for DUNS. Some of them do. But the bottom line is the first step with actually getting a Paydex with DMB is you've got to have this DUNS number. So the DUNS number is the preferred method worldwide of identifying a business. Okay, it's kind of like the EIN, but it's used worldwide. Okay, so the EIN is our way of our IRS, our government recognizing your business, the same as your social is, right? You don't get a social security number in Canada, you get a different number, they call it up there. So in the United States, though, you get a social. It's how our government knows you exist as an individual. Well, the EIN number is how our government knows your business exists. The DUNS number is used across the world. So not only our government can use your DUNS number to identify you, but for example, the Australian government could do the same thing. Okay, so US, Australia, the European Commission, even the United Nations all use the DUNS number to recognize a business. This is part of why you can get the DUNS number for free. Because if you want to be a contractor for the US government or a contractor for the United Nations, you have to have a DUNS number. The government requires it. So this is why part of the reason DMB can't really charge everybody that wants a DUNS, because government contractors need it to be able to do work for the U.S. government and the United Nations. So it has to be available to them for free. And you'll even see when you go through DMB setup to get a DUNS, it asks you, are you a contractor or not? Because again, it'll expedite the process if you are a contractor because it's required for these type of entities. And more than 50 global industry and trade associations recognize or recommend or require the DUNS. So again, it's used worldwide. It's not a national thing here in the United States. So when you actually start applying for credit, you should consider using some type of business address or virtual address. And this is a little off topic, and I'll tell you why I'm bringing you back to topic here in about 2 more bullets. Okay, so if you've ever heard me talk about how to build business credit, I always tell you, best case scenario, use a real physical business address. Second case, best case scenario, go to creditsuite.com/virtual and get a virtual address if you can't. If you don't need, don't have, can't afford a real physical address. If you can't afford a virtual address, then use your home address, third, absolute last resort. Never use a P.O. box. Never use a UPS address. but you can't use a virtual address when you actually set up with Dun & Bradstreet. They won't let you. So this is sometimes it gets people confused. They say, Ty, you said use a virtual address when I build business credit, but when I try to do this with Dun & Bradstreet, they won't accept it. D&B, they will not accept the virtual address. So if you're using a virtual address to put on your applications to increase your probability of getting approved in your approval amounts, that's perfect. But understand with D&B, they're going to require a real physical address. Using your business or your home address here is okay because they won't accept the virtual address. And even though you can obtain real business credit without supplying your social security number, again, most bank accounts are going to require one to be open. And that's another weird thing is I'm telling you how to build credit for your EIN that's not linked to your social. But when you set up a business bank account, they're going to want your social. When you set up your EIN, they're going to want it because they need to make sure that you're actually a citizen of the United States. That's why they're requiring that information. And the SSN is unique to you being a citizen in the United States. Okay, so even though, yes, you could use a virtual address when applying for credit, Dun & Bradstreet won't accept it when you set up your DUNS. Okay, and even though you can apply for credit, I'm going to show you how for your EIN that's not linked to your social, you still are going to need that SSN for things like your bank account EIN. It won't interfere with your liability of building business credit. Okay, so you can search for your DUNS again through the link at creditsweet.com/reports. You can also go right there. You can go right to D&B's website, D and B, the letter D, then the word and, then so like D like Delta, the word and, then B like Bravo.com, dnb.com/free-duns-number. Now again, that's why I put it all at creditsweet.com/reports. It's one easy link that gets you to D&B, Equifax, and Experian, but all I do there is just give you this link in a shortcut. So I'm just giving you the links to D&B, Equifax, and Experian all in one place so you don't have to remember these long drawn-out URLs. So during the DUNS setup process, you're going to be asked for a lot of information. I mean, this could easily take 10-15 minutes to fill it out because they're going to ask you for a lot of details when you actually set up this DUNS. If you select that you're a government contractor, which they'll ask, you'll get your DUNS number in about 1 to 2 weeks. If you don't pay D&B anything and aren't a contractor, it could take up to 30 days to get your DUNS. And nowadays, they even have a service to expedite your DUNS. I think you could pay them like $50 and they actually expedite your DUNS. You get it within a week, 2 weeks, even if you're not a contractor. So that's a pretty cool new shortcut that I've seen that they've actually started to do, which is well worth it. So here's what the process looks like to get your DUNS. Okay, and I'm actually giving you screenshots of their process. And again, for all the potential D&B attorneys that are watching, you'll notice that I'm not using your logo anywhere here. But here are screenshots from what theirs actually looks like. I'm keeping their logo off these slides because they're not fond of that logo, that trademark being used on anything like this that's educational or anything else for that matter. So here we go, get started. It presents it. I go to that link that I gave you. I click get started. It then comes in and it gets you some different options here. Establish your business credit profile, get a free DUNS, get your free DUNS, U.S. government contractor or grantee DUNS registration, and then there's some other options there for you as well. But for the most part, you're either going to choose your contractor or you're going to choose your DUNS. Just know, as I mentioned before, that if you go with the first route to get your DUNS, it could take up to 30 days. If you go with the second route, you could get it in about 1 to 2 weeks if you're a contractor. And also, if you go with the free route or the get your free DUNS, and again, they change their product and services all the time. So, you know, if you watch this years after I've actually recorded or listened to this years after this gets on our podcast, this might change. But as of today, they're actually letting you get that DUNS expedited for about $50. Once you go through it, then this is kind of what the process looks like. They're asking you for personal information. Okay, then they're going to ask you for your company's details. Then you're going to review everything. Then they're going to give you options like I just showed you. Are you government contractor or not? They're going to give you different processing options. You're going to request the confirmation, and then they're going to complete the actual order. Okay, and then you can see here, once you're done, thank you for your request. It's been submitted to Dun & Bradstreet. All information will be reviewed and validated by Dun & Bradstreet. So it's a 6-step process. It can easily take about 10 to 15 minutes to get your DUNS. They're going to ask for a lot of info. Remember, they're not going to allow a virtual address, just so you know that. Also know that what you're doing here doesn't matter towards liability. When you start applying for real credit, how you do that really matters whether or not you have liability or guarantee guarantee, but yeah, but I'll talk about that as we get further into this. And here you go. Here's those actual options too, okay? So you can do the Duns Expedite, where it's $49 plus tax, okay? And it says right here, select the Duns Expedite to get your Duns number within 5 days for $49. This will give you and your business partner faster access to your company information. Click continue to proceed, or you just wait it out and you go with the continue option where it takes about 30 days. That's your choice. I don't have a preference here. It depends on what you want to do. If you want to start building business credit faster and $50 isn't a big deal, then go with the $50 option. I think it's a fantastic option D&B provides you. If you are really in no rush or the money does matter, then just go with the regular option and wait it out. And usually you'll get it in about 3 to 4 weeks, but they are going to give you that processing option. So remember, step 4 here's processing options. This is what you're going to see during that processing options. So the process takes about 10-15 minutes. Once you're done, D&B will email you. Reps will also start to call you from D&B and email you to upsell you to their D&B credit builder. So here's that actual email that I've actually got from James. So I've spent a lot of time talking to James at D&B. He's really knowledgeable, and I like their team there. The people that I've talked to at D&B are really smart. They're really informative, and you know, they have a lot of cool things that they teach you, even some stuff I didn't know I learned from James on the call. So here's the actual email I got from him. I've been able to contact you regarding your recent application for your free Duns. Please contact me as early as possible. This is important. Please disregard this message if you've already seen it. So they're going to show urgency in their emails and phone calls. They're going to show urgency, and I can't tell you why, but I can assume that they're trying to get to you to sell you Credit Builder to expedite you getting your Duns number before you get your Duns number. So in my case, I didn't call James till I had my Duns number, and that was one less kind of a piece of ammunition in his arsenal, because he couldn't tell me that he could expedite my Duns because I already had my Duns number. But that's why they try to get to you so early. They're going to call you. They're going to email you within a day of you getting that Duns number to try to talk to you. They're going to show urgency. It's important. They're going to say it's important in the voicemail. It's important in the email. They're trying to get to you to talk to you about more of their products that you might be able to benefit from, including your actual Duns, or including the Credit Builder where expedite your Duns. So here you go. And this is what you get when you actually register. So here you go. When you're setting it up, they send you this exact email that tells you this is what you do. You know, if you're actually looking, it's basically your confirmation that you've actually set up your Duns number. And then once you get your Duns number, this is what you get. It takes about 30 days. There you go. Your request for your Duns number has been verified, completed. You're done. The following Duns number has been created and assigned to your company. And of course, I cut that off, but that's exactly what the email looks like right there. So you can come in and get an idea of exactly what it looks like. So now I walked you through what the process looks like to get a Duns. And then I even showed you the email confirmations you'll get when they'll reach out to you to talk to you more about their Credit Builder, what it looks like when they issue your Duns, how to expedite it. That's everything you need to know about the Duns number. There's a lot of different options there, whether you're a contractor, whether you're not, whether you want to pay to expedite, whether you don't. But now we've reviewed them all, so you should know everything that you need to know to be able to effectively get that Duns number. So there are 3 ways to build credit with that Dun & Bradstreet number, with the Duns number, once you have it. Once you have the Duns number, there's actually 3 different ways you can actually get set up and start building credit with D&B, because the first step is you got to get your Duns. The second is you need accounts reporting to Dun & Bradstreet for them to issue you the Paydex score. So that's the next question, is how do we get you an actual Paydex score? Well, there's 3 different ways to do this. The first is called the Dun & Bradstreet Credit Builder. Now, with Dun & Bradstreet, there are 3 different ways to do this, including their actual Credit Builder, which you can go to, again, dandb.com. That's Delta, the word and, Bravo, B for Bravo.com/credit-builder to access this. It runs about $159 a month as of April 2017. This changes all the time. They change their prices. So if you're seeing this well after April 2017, it's worth going in and taking a look and seeing how much it is now. But it's $159 a month as I do this. And they're also often offer you a one-time fee you can also pay and get a discount instead. They'll offer to set up your Duns for you if you purchase without you needing to wait the 30 days. That's part of the benefit of getting Credit Builders. They expedite that time frame. With Credit Builder, you also get access to your D&B scores, your ratings with them. Remember, you won't just have a Paydex score, right? Each reporting agency actually has about 5 credit scores you could see on on the credit report. With D&B, it could include what they call a delinquency predictor, a financial stress score, a SIR rating or a supplier rating, okay, and a D&B rating, which has to do with, you know, your financial risk. So you're going to see D&B scores, plural, and ratings. You can add positive payment experiences to your report with D&B's Credit Builder. You can get alerts with other inquiries go onto your business credit report. You can see how your company compares to others in your industry. Those are all benefits and features of D&B's Credit Builder. Now, by adding positive payment experiences, I think I'm going to go into this in further slides, but this is where you could take existing accounts you have through Credit Builder and get them added to your credit report. So instead of getting new credit waiting for it to report, you could sometimes expedite the process by getting accounts and having them report on your actual D&B report. So D&B Credit Builder, D&B allows you to add trade accounts, which is what I just mentioned, that you already have that aren't currently reporting, and they can put them on your D&B reports. So these accounts can show as trade lines, helping you build your credit profile and score. This might be something to consider if you have a lot of accounts you pay now that can qualify and aren't currently reporting. So this could be a couple different type of accounts. One, this could be, let's say, an account like I use Infusionsoft is my CRM. It's my CRM software, right? At Credit Suite, that's what we use. So we pay them every month. We could go we could put D&B together with Infusionsoft, get our Infusionsoft history, and have that added as a trade line on our D&B credit report. That's one option. The second option could be, let's say we purchased something once, and we want that to get added on as a trade line to our credit report. So let's say I just bought $2,000 worth of Dell computers, okay, and I actually put them on my credit card and I paid the thing off. Well, let's say I bought it from Dell directly. I could have that account, that purchase, put on my D&B credit report as a trade line too, which I didn't know. This is something that James over at D&B actually taught me. So there's a couple ways from my understanding you could do this. You could take accounts that you obviously pay on a recurring basis, regular basis, have those added, those obvious. You can also take one-time purchases that you've done in the past and have those added to your credit report as trade lines as well. Now keep in mind, the service is only to add accounts to your D&B reports, not Equifax or Experian. So, you know, most banks use Equifax and pull those reports. Most credit issuers pull Experian reports. So even if you go this route I'm teaching you here, this will only ever help you build your D&B report. I can't say ever. The D&B might eventually allow the same service to build credit on Experian and Equifax. I don't know. But right now, they allow you to do this on your D&B reports only. So why that matters to you is that you have to at some point focus on building Experian and Equifax business credit. So if you don't only do this service with D&B, you're only building it with D&B, you're going to have to still focus on one of the other ways I'm going to show you to build your credit with Experian and Equifax as well. Also, D&B isn't helping you access new credit, only helping you add existing credit to your reports. So I like to say you have to ask yourself what the purpose of getting business credit is. What do you want to do? Do you want to add accounts just to get a profile and score, or do you want to build a credit profile and score to start using it to get real usable credit and loans? If you want to build a credit profile and score to get real usable credit and loans, just know that's not what D&B does. D&B isn't going to help you to first add trade lines, then start going in and teaching you how to get store credit and vendor credit and cash credit cards and auto financing. They're not going to teach you how to do all those other things. They're just simply going to help you expedite that process by taking existing accounts you have and adding it to your existing or your credit report so you get a credit score, a Paydex score faster. Okay, so that's the benefit that you should know here. Now also keep in mind, many types of accounts cannot be added to your D&B using the Credit Builder service. And I know some people have some questions, and again, you guys hang out here to the end. I will make sure that I get to those questions, but I want to make sure I have time to go through it because I actually have about 10% more slides than an hour will hold. So also keep in mind, many accounts cannot be added to your D&B using the Credit Builder service. Okay, now they actually have this listed. If you go to that D&B Credit Builder site I gave you earlier, at the very bottom in the small print, you can click. There's a link that it gives you, and it pulls this up. dnb.com/glossary trade references. So that's dnb.com/glossary trade references. And if you pull that up, then what you're going to see is this right here. Okay, from there, this is exactly what that page will tell you. D&B works together with thousands of nationwide vendors that report payment experiences on a regular basis. These data providers have requested to remain anonymous and cannot be added by a customer for trade reference, okay? This is interesting because if you look at a D&B, Equifax, or Experian commercial report, you'll see no company's name on there. They don't have it. So like if I pull my consumer credit report, it shows that I have credit at like Staples and Dell, and it shows that I have credit at like, I don't even know, all these different places that I have store credit cards with, right? So if I pull my D&B report, it only tells me an industry. It won't tell me the actual credit. So it won't tell me Staples. It'll say office supplies instead. And D&B will never tell me that that office supplies account is Staples. So it's a big difference between consumer and business reports because they show industries. Some types of companies do not respond to D&B requests for information within a reasonable time frame. D&B will make 6 attempts to contact a company that has been selected to provide trade reference and will accept inbound references at any time. However, a customer may resubmit references at any time. So what D&B is telling you here, and this is sometimes an objection or a problem that customers have, is they're telling you, look, if you come to us and say you want ABC company added as a reference and an account on your credit report, we'll add them. But we have to call ABC company to verify. And if we call ABC company and they don't pick up the phone and we leave a message, we're going to try again and again and again. And if we try 6 times and we can't get on the phone with ABC company, then we're not going to be able to add them to your report till we verify with them that the account is accurate. That's one of the problems. When you set up a trade line and you want to add a reference to your D&B credit profile, you need to make sure you have a good phone number that somebody's going to answer the phone and be able to help D&B when they call. If not, I've heard and seen that it takes considerable time to get this process done. If you can get D&B and go, D&B, I got 10 accounts I want to add. Here's the contact info for all 10. If you call these numbers, people are going to pick up like 24 hours a day, then you're going to have better luck than if you give D&B a number that sometimes they'll get someone and sometimes they won't. So if they're calling a toll-free number that a bunch of people can help them with, then you're going to have a faster process of them setting up an account on your D&B report than if you just give them like Joe Blow's internal phone number where Joe works like 3 days a week, and in order for D&B and Joe to connect, D&B has to call when Joe is there and Joe has to answer the phone. That gets problematic. So it can really slow down the process of getting these accounts added to your D&B report if you don't give them an accurate and easy way to get in touch with whoever the reference is you want to add to the report. On the opposite side, if you have references that are really easy for them to get contact with, this could be easier to build your business credit initially than in the next step I'm going to show you. Is it faster or does it take longer? That's all determined based on, can D&B get in touch with the company and the person at the company they're trying to add the trade reference for, or can they not? If they cannot, this process could take months. If they can, it could go faster. So it all depends on them being able to get in touch with that company that you're adding as a trade reference. Certain companies have proven over time to be less trustworthy. According to D&B, has identified certain characteristics associated with companies, ... This is a quote from them. So there's 3 things that they're ultimately saying here. We work with a bunch of vendors. Their names will never show on your credit report. Hey, we're going to try to get in touch with them, but if we can't, then we're going to have to keep trying and trying again, and it's a process. And we're not going to add companies that internally we already know aren't trustworthy and people that we won't report. Okay, so the following kinds of trade references are among those that are not accepted by D&B. Payments that have not been made yet. Payments to businesses that have shared principals or some other type of legal ownership relationship. Financial services, banks, credit unions, and insurance. Important to know. So your insurance can't be added as a trade reference, nor can any bank accounts or bank references, nor can credit unions. Bank references can't be added. Utilities and gas companies can't be added. So if you pay electric and you pay water and all these things for your office, none of those can be added. Credit cards, no credit card you have can be added as a trade reference. Your landlords, who you pay rent to, can't be added. Virtual offices can't be added. Credit counseling or registered agents, international companies, businesses with unknown SIC codes. This is quote from their website that I gave you the link at top of all the ones that they cannot add. So before you even think about getting Credit Builder, you need to think about the 5, 10 accounts that you may add. You need to make sure, do you have an easy way for D&B to get in touch with those people? And are those people on this restricted list or are they not? If you say, Ty, dude, I got 10 accounts easily. I can think about them from the top of my head. I'd add these 10 accounts to my D&B credit profile. I've got an 800 number that somebody answers 24 hours a day. They can always and easily get somebody, and these 10 are not in these restricted categories, then D&B Credit Builder might make sense. But if you're struggling to think about accounts you could even add that aren't on this list or that they can get in touch with easily, then Credit Builder might not be for you, because that's what it comes down to. Do you have a history of accounts you can think of adding that aren't on this restricted list, and can you get them an easy way, D&B, to get in touch with these people? If you can, then D&B Credit Builder might make sense. If not, then it might be a longer process to go this route. So before you think about accounts you may have to want to report, you got to think about accounts that may be able to report, or other accounts that aren't in their restricted industry. Also keep in mind, getting D&B on the phone with that service provider isn't always easy, okay? And it can take time unless you have a number that they could definitely connect on. So that is the first way to get your Paydex set up with D&B, using their own credit builder product. I've given you the goods, the bads, the pros, the cons, the things to look out for, everything you need to know with that option. So the second way to get set up with D&B and establish your Paydex score is what's called unsecured business financing. So here's what you need to know. One, you never need to pay D&B a dime to activate your credit profile and score. This happens automatically when 3 accounts report to D&B. So your goal of getting a Paydex score is very simple. You need to get 3 accounts to report to D&B to get a Paydex score. I just showed you the first way to do it. Think of 3 current creditors that you have, or 3 purchases you've made that you can easily get D&B in touch with. It's not on the restricted list. Boom, get Credit Builder at $159 a month, or pay their $1,500, $2,000, whatever it may be, one-time charge, and then get Credit Builder, get those sources to D&B through their process, get them added. That's the first way. The second way is a little known about product I call unsecured business financing. So this only works for you if you do have good personal credit. And keep in mind, the third option I'm going to show you that's upcoming here won't cost you a dime or require good credit. So I'm showing you 3 options. The first one costs you money. It's $159 a month with D&B Credit Builder. They might give you a discount, the $1,500, $2,000, somewhere in that range. I've even seen sometimes less, to do one payment and do that. But that'll cost you money. This one, well, you've got to have good credit or a good credit guarantor for. The third option I'm going to show you doesn't cost you money, doesn't have a guarantor, but I want you to know all the options. You have to have good credit or a guarantor, somebody that will sign for you that does have good personal credit for this to actually work. Okay, but this actually works with all 3 reporting agencies. So this shortcut, you could build credit with D&B, Equifax, and Experian, and you don't have to actually come in and pay that monthly charge or one-time charge to D&B to do it. So with unsecured business financing, you work with a funding source who specializes in securing business credit cards. So you have good personal credit, or your uncle, your buddy, your partner, your colleague, your friend, somebody else says, I want to be part of your business, or I will help you, I have good personal credit, okay, and we get you with the funding source that specializes in getting these business credit cards. It's very rare. Not a lot of people know about this type of program. There's only about 5 legitimate sources that we found out there that offer it, and you can usually get about 3 to 5 times the approvals that you can get on your own. So this is much different than you saying, hey, dude, I can go get my own business credit cards at like cardhub.com. Well, that's different. Most of the cards you'll get online and from your banks don't report to the business credit reporting agencies. These are cards that do report to the business credit reporting agencies, and they'll usually get you about 3 to 5 times the amount of credit that you typically get on your own. Now, approvals usually range from $2,000 to $50,000 individual credit card limits, okay, and you can get up to, from what we've seen, about $150,000 in funding, which is pretty cool. So I love this shortcut. Love it, love it, love it. If you have good personal credit or a guarantor that does, because you do 2 things at once. One, you get money. You get up to 150 grand even as a startup business in no doc funding. It's awesome. And then 2, you also build your business credit. So not only are you building your business credit, but you're getting money to build your business credit, and I like that option best if it works, which is why we do the same thing for Credit Suite as well. So with UBS, you get about 3 to 5 business credit cards, but they only report to the business credit reporting agencies, not the consumer credit. So these do not show up in your personal credit report. They only show up on your business credit report. So you get up to 150 grand and build your business credit. It's huge, and it's not something you're going to find most credit issuers and banks give you. They usually give you, in a lot of cases, cards that don't report anywhere to consumer reporting agencies. Okay, and they're also the financing source that helps you get these cards usually offers 0% financing for 6 to 18 months. So not only, for example, even as a startup, can you get up to 150 grand to fund your business, even if you're in a high-risk industry where you can't get loans, but you get 0% for 6 to 18 months, which makes it one of the best ways to start a business or fuel a business because you're not paying interest in the beginning part of this. Okay, and you get the best rewards like you get with all credit cards. Okay, you must have excellent personal credit, about a 685 score or higher. You shouldn't have any derogatory items on the credit. Now, and you must also have some kind of open revolving credit account. Okay, and you need to have about 5 inquiries or less in the last 6 months to actually qualify for this program. You can also use a guarantor. So we have a link, creditsuite.com/get funding. No dash in between, just creditsuite.com/ the word get, G-E-T, the word funding, F-U-N-D-I-N-G, all together, get funding. And you can actually fill out a really simple qualifier. It's like it asks your first name, your email, your phone, and it asks you 3 other questions, and you can get qualified for all kinds of financing. That's a way you can get approved for this program. We never charge you a dime to help you with funding. Just so you know, we don't charge you up front. We don't charge you in the deal funds. You never pay us a dime. Well, actually, you'll pay less with us because we get you better terms with the finance source. And if you meet this criteria, if you have good credit or a guarantor that does, less than 5 inquiries in the last 6 months, no bad items on the credit report, a 685 credit score, well then, hey, why not? Just there's no inquiries on your credit report. There's no personal credit check just for your pre-approval. Okay, and we'll be able to tell you, get you with the finance source that works best for you, and they'll give you an idea of how much funding you can actually get, and then you make the decision from there. They might tell you, look, we can get you 5 cards for 100 grand, or maybe 3 cards of 50 grand, but it costs you nothing to figure it out, no inquiries, no money to figure it out. So it's worth going to creditsuite.com/get funding if you fit this criteria or have a guarantor that does, and at least just see what you can actually get approved for, because not only can you get funding, but you could build your business credit at the same time. Now, lenders usually charge about a 9 to 15% fee on this. So of the 5 cards they get you, you could pay a fee of 9% up to 15%. Our funders are on the low side of this because we get a discount, because obviously we do so much volume with them, so we pass that on directly to you, and you only pay a fee on what you actually get. As a matter of fact, we have a lot of clients that qualify for much more than they get. We say, look, we can get you 130 grand, and they say, I only want 50, and then they only get 50 and pay a fee on 50 because they didn't want the full 130, but it's revolving credit, so as you use it, you can reuse it, which is nice. Now remember, you can get a ton of extra benefits and about 3 times more money with this program, which is why there's a fee. So, the bottom line is, if you go with any loan, SBA or any kind of loan, the lender charges you points, fees, and interest. That's how lending works. This is no different. You got a finance source that raises their hand and goes, look, like my specialty are business credit cards. I can get you 5 cards, usually 3 to 5 times the amount of money you could get on your own. I can get you the most rewards and points, 0% for 6 to 18 months, and they all report and build your business credit. Well, that's a huge benefit. So it makes sense, just like anything else, to pay a fee, but they don't charge you up front. You don't even pay until after you already get your funding. So it's kind of rolled into your funding just the same as an SBA loan is. So it's a really pretty cool option. You can get approved using a guarantor. Okay, you can even use multiple guarantors to get even more money. Okay, if you want to do that. And again, creditsuite.com/get funding. I don't know why I don't have that link on the slides. creditsuite.com/get funding. And again, doesn't cost you anything. We don't charge you anything. We can simply enter a few pieces of information. You'll talk to our finance officers, and they'll at least tell you more about it. They can get you a pre-approved. You can get an idea of how much money you can get, talk to the finance source, answer any questions if that option makes more sense to you. So we've talked about 2 different options. We talked about Credit Builder, which costs you some money with DMB, and build your DMB credit profile and score, but personal credit doesn't matter. Okay, then we talked about unsecured business financing, a shortcut if you have good personal credit or a guarantor that does, that can help you come in and get, 3, 4, 5 times the amount of money you get on your own, even get 150 grand in the startup phase of a business. And get 5 accounts that report to the business credit reports. I like it because not only do you get money, but business credit accounts are issued based on how high your current limits are, which means if your current limits on your business credit reports are 10 grand, well, then other creditors start to approve you for 10 grand. If the limits you have on your credit report now are 2 grand or 1,000, well, then other creditors will approve you for 1,000 or 2,000. So if you go through DMB's Credit Builder, for example, and you add, 3 accounts, and the highest limit of those 3 accounts is 2 grand, well, once you get your Paydex score, you might be issued credit by anybody that pulls DMB for about 1 or 2 grand. But if you go through this way and you add 5,000, 10,000, 20, $50,000 limit accounts on your business credit reports, then when other credit issuers start to give you credit when those accounts are poor, then you start to get 5, 10, 20, 30, $50,000 limits that mimic those ones that you already have on your report. So a couple cool things that can actually work. Okay, so vendor accounts. So you can also build business credit using new accounts instead of adding existing accounts to your DMB credit profile. There are many benefits of doing it this way. You don't need to buy anything. You don't need good credit, cash flow, or collateral. You're building your business credit and you're getting real usable money. You're getting vendors you can actually buy stuff for your business with. So a lot of cool benefits, and you're building credit with all 3 reporting agencies. So here's some benefits of doing it this way versus the other 2 ways that we've talked about. Now, vendors are companies who will offer you credit even if you have none now, and they report the credit to the reporting agencies. They usually offer terms like net 30, meaning you have 30 days to pay off what you borrow in full. In 2 weeks, I'm doing a webinar that maps out trade credit and net 30 accounts. It's well worth you actually registering for. And if you want more information and you got an invite to this one, you're going to be invited for that already. As a matter of fact, if you're here, you're probably on our email list. You can also go to that creditsuite.com/EIN, and if you're on our email list, then we'll invite you to that webinar. Some will offer net 10, 20, 15, 30, 45-day terms, and you can get approved for this even as a startup. Okay, before you apply for vendor accounts, you got to set up your business credibly, okay, because lenders and credit issuers have this secret criteria to make sure that your business is credible. You must ensure you meet these requirements before you even think of applying for any kind of credit. You got to have a website set up, a professional email address. You don't want to use Gmail, AOL, nothing like that. Okay, you need to make sure you have a business phone number. Don't use a mobile or a home phone on your application. You need to have a toll-free number and a fax number. As a matter of fact, your business phone number even needs to be listed with 411. DMB has a service that's awesome that can help you with that. Yext has a service. List Yourself has a service where you can get your number listed with 411. You need to have a toll-free number or a fax number. Your phone needs to be listed with 411, as I mentioned. I just gave you some shortcuts. And you got to be listed online, and all your listings the same. So do a search of your business name. And the question becomes, is your business name the same everywhere, or is it not? If you've got your business that has different information, then you definitely want to make sure that all your information is the same. So if Bing, when somebody goes and pulls up your business and sees Bing, like places for business, and it's different than Google, and your information is different, you need to make sure all the information is the same online. If your business name, address, and phone number is one thing on one site in the yellow pages, the next yellow pages you pull up, it should be the same. If it's not, you want to get it changed in anywhere that it's inaccurate to make sure it's the same. And again, DMB offers a service. If you buy any of their other products, it's even free for veterans, which I appreciate. And also Yext, Sign Up, SYNUP. They also offer paid services to make sure that your listings are congruent online. But the bottom line is a credit issuer and lender needs to be able to find your business online and know all the information is congruent. Those type of things are important for credibility. A real business address, I talked about this earlier, or a virtual address. Home address is last resort, but not a P.O. box or a UPS address. You need to make sure you obtain all necessary licensing for your industry and state. And again, you should be listed online with all your listings the same. I already went over that. Look, I'm kind of getting short on time, which is why I'm moving a little bit faster. The bottom line is, if you didn't write all this down, don't worry. Just go to youtube.com/credit suite, or go to creditsuite.com, top right of our page, go to YouTube. I map all this out more in depth. over the last few weeks, I've covered this on Facebook Live and Periscope. So you have multiple options. You can go to YouTube, you can go to our Periscope or our Facebook, and you can find where I've spent 30 minutes to an hour just mapping out this stuff in more depth. I'm just giving you a brief overview. Some vendors to start with who report to D&B and who will approve you for credit are Seton, Quill, Gimplers, Uline. These are companies that, you know, will give you credit even if you have none. They report to D&B. Some actually report to Experian as well, and they'll help you build real business credit. So they'll give you credit even if you have no credit reporting now. They'll give you credit as a startup regardless of cash flow, regardless of collateral. So anybody can get these, and it doesn't cost you a bunch of money to pay to get them. You just have to buy stuff using them, and they report to the reporting agency. So that's the benefit of these kind of vendor accounts. They'll give you credit when you have none. They report it to the reporting agencies. Just don't put your social security number on the application, or they'll pull your personal credit and you'll have a personal guarantee. Now, Quill and Uline are easy to get. Seton is easy too. Granger is easy too. Gimplers should be the last of these you get. Gimplers, once you have some kind of credit reporting with D&B before they'll usually approve you. Seton, Quill, Uline, they won't even ask for your social. Gimplers will. Gimplers will give you a paper application you have to fill out. Just leave your social security number field blank. Just leave it blank, and they'll pull your business credit and make the approval decision, which is why you should not put your social on the app and try to have some credit accounts before you move forward to get approved with Gimplers. Now, D&B will want you to have about 3 of these accounts to activate your credit profile and score. As I mentioned earlier, you don't have to pay D&B. They'll automatically activate your credit profile and score when you have 3 accounts reporting. You just need to find items you want to buy at those vendors. So you go to Quill, it's easy. They sell office supplies. You buy about $50 worth of stuff from a Quill. A lot of them don't make you buy $50 worth of stuff. Some, like Quill, won't even report it unless you do. So when I'm using vendor credit accounts to build companies' credit, I always buy $50 worth of stuff or more just to be safe. Okay, and then you pay your bill on time. You pay it early. Okay, and then that credit will actually report to D&B and they'll give you a Paydex score. So you got to have about 5 total payment experiences before you start applying for store credit. Most major retail stores offer store credit. So once you have about 5 total accounts reporting, not just to D&B, but across the board, D&B, Equifax, and Experian. Once you've done that with vendors, then you can move on to store credit. You can start getting credit at most major retail stores, leaving your social security number off the application, forcing them to pull your business credit and make the approval decision based on your business credit quality. Now, with 10 total experiences, then you can start to get Visa cards and MasterCards. You'll even have a better chance of getting loans once you've followed these steps, got those vendor accounts, then you move to store credit accounts and loans. Now, keep in mind, what I've just shown you in the last 2 slides and talked about is applicable no matter what of the 3 options you use. Once you have 5 accounts reporting, either using D&B's credit builder, using the good credit and getting the unsecured business financing, or using vendor accounts, once you have 5 accounts with any of those 3, then you can move on and start getting store credit. With 10 accounts, then you could start moving on to getting cash credit, auto vehicle financing, and you even have a chance of getting loans. The auto vehicle financing, the Visa, MasterCard, you can absolutely, without a doubt, get without a personal credit check, without a guarantee. A lot of business loans, you're still going to need to have a personal guarantee until your business gets a little bit bigger. But you can still get auto vehicle financing and cash credit cards, even fleet credit cards, without doing so. So just like with consumer credit, building your business credit's a never-ending process. The more credit you apply for, the more you get. And the more you use that credit, the higher the limits will become. So also keep in mind, all lenders review your business credit when you apply for business loans, even high-risk lenders. Even if you go to get a 50% interest merchant cash advance, they still pull your business credit and make the approval decision. I have a stack of the office of people that have applied for merchant cash advances and got denied, and the primary reason on the denial is because their business credit scores aren't high enough. And remember, as you've already learned, you can be given a low business credit score even if you have no credit reporting. So you need to know, if you're going to think about getting a credit card in your business name or a loan, they're going to pull your business credit quality. So let's finally wrap up here in about 4 slides and talk about your Paydex score. I've talked to you about how to get it. You know how to get your DUNS. You know 3 different ways to establish your initial business credit: using Credit Builder, using the unsecured business financing program, or using vendor accounts. Now let's talk about the Paydex score itself. Well, the Paydex score is the main score in the D&B world and in the credit reporting industry in its entirety. Okay, and then from D&B, the D&B Paydex score is D&B's unique dollar-weighted numerical indicator of how a firm paid its bills over the last year. Okay, based on trade experiences reporting to D&B by various vendors. A lot of hot words here. We'll talk about what dollar-weighted means, how you paid your bills over the last year, much different than consumer reporting. With consumer reporting, your scores are based on how you paid your bills over the last 2 years, not the last year, based on trade experiences that are reporting. We showed you multiple ways to actually build those trade experiences. So it ranges from 0 to 100, with 100 being the highest score you can get. A score of 80 is considered good credit with D&B. A business can obtain a good business Paydex score by basically just paying your bills on time. That's all that matters. So here is exactly how D&B's Paydex score works. It's that simple. It's based literally on how you pay your bills. If you pay your bills on time, payment is prompt, you get an 80 score. If you pay them early, you get a 90. If you pay them really early, you get 100. If you pay them late, depending on how late you pay the bill, depends on how low the score is. Now remember, there's two parts to Paydex. How you pay your bills, make sure you always pay on time or early. The second is what they call that dollar-weighted value. Dollar-weighted means the higher the limit on the accounts you have, the more weight it calculates into your overall score. So what that means is if you have a credit limit of $1,000 with Uline and $100 with Quill, and you're ever going to default on the $100 limit account first, because the $1,000 limit account holds more weight into the total score than the lower $100 limit account. Bottom line, the higher the limits, the more weight they calculate into your overall score. So always pay your bills on time or early. It's the best way to get a score. Never mess that up. Okay. Matter of fact, my advice is the minute you get an invoice, pay it. Now, people ask me, what happens if I pay the invoice before, or pay the bill before I get the invoice? Well, it's probably not going to report to the reporting agency. And you'll learn more about that in 2 weeks when I talk more about trade references. Because you've got to actually wait until the invoice is served for it to really be reported on your reports. If you're doing it before then, before you even get an invoice, then it's probably not even going to count as real credit and won't report. But the minute you get the invoice, pay the bill, that's going to make sure that your bills are good. And if you ever have to decide which bill to pay, always pay the one with the higher credit limit, because that's how D&B's dollar weighted actually works. And that being said, we're all done. So now you know how to get your DUNS number. We showed you 3 ways to get set up with D&B. We even talked about the specifics of Paydex and how you can get and maintain a good Paydex score. And again, if you have any questions on what we talked about, you can call us, 877-600-2487, info@creditsuite.com. Now, I don't have a bunch of time for questions today because I literally am already late for a 2 o'clock meeting I have with my finance team. But somebody says, do inquiries hurt your business credit like they hurt your personal? No. Inquiries are not calculated into any score from D&B, Equifax, and with Equifax or Experian. Inquiries don't matter into your scores. What scores do you need for UBF? I went over that, 685. Student loans that's in good standing, will that hurt your scores? Chances to get funding? No, it will not. 720 FICO score with 30,000 credit. Okay, and Ring Central lists you on 411.com also. Yes, so Ring Central is another good reference there. So I don't have any other questions, so I'm going to wrap up. If you have more questions, make sure you grab our free guide, creditsuite.com/EIN, that maps out more in depth the steps of building business credit. And also feel free to reach out to us, info@creditsuite.com or creditsuite.com to get more information, or give us a ring at 877-600-2487. Thank you all very much for attending today. We went over a bunch of stuff. Now you know everything you need to know about getting your DUNS. You've seen the physical process. It's not that scary. You know what's involved now. You know 3 different ways to get set up with D&B, and you now know how your Paydex score works, what you need to do to get a good score and maintain a good score. So I think we've accomplished our mission here today, teaching you everything you need to know about how to get your DUNS with D&B for free and establish that Paydex and maintain a good Paydex score. So thanks everybody very much. I hope you all have a great day, and I look forward to talking to you in 2 weeks when we dive in and we talk more about getting set up and trade references, how these net 30 accounts work. Thanks everybody. Have a great day.